Ayla Chapelier of Chapelier & Associates at Keller Williams Realty in beautiful upstate South Carolina. Within the last year, many of you have mentioned recession and possible housing bubble to come. If you lived through 2008 and probably have PTSD from those years, it is natural to be fearful and assume that a recession would trigger a housing crisis. While I'm not here to debate whether we are in recession or have one coming, what I would like to say is that recession and housing bubbles or crises in general do not necessarily go hand in hand. Recessions are a natural part of economic cycle. And since 1970, we've had 7 recessions so far. Did you realize that only 2 or twice in those recessions we have lost average median price in real estate market? Let me repeat that again. Out of 7 recessions that we've experienced since 1970, we've lost value in median sales price in real estate only twice. So what does that mean? It means that recession does not necessarily trigger a housing market issue. There are 2 key factors that drive the direction of real estate: buyer demand and seller supply. Let's look at buyer demand for a second. The buyer demand, there's 3 things that we'll consider that will really indicate where we are. Let's look at monetary policy. Monetary policy deals with interest rates, tax incentives and programs the government puts out there. Obviously, we've all seen interest rates have been going up steadily over the last year by the Federal Reserve. That created a strong buyer response and really a shell shock on some of the buyers' side, just because they have never seen rates over 5. If you consider some of the younger buyers that entered the market in 2005, 2006, the rates that they've seen have always been below 5. Now, while the rates are higher, we've got to consider the historic average over the last 30 years. And if you look at that, the historic average over the last 30 years is about 7.75. So 6% rate or below is hardly a high rate. It's just an emotional response and initial knee-jerk reaction that they're going to wait for something lower. Will it come? I'm not sure, but a 6% at 7 out of 7.5 is not really that high a rate. Number 2, demographic waves. Demographic waves deal with the population that is buying currently and selling. One of the key factors there is to realize that 2 of the largest generations, baby boomers and millennials, are buying and in real estate market at the same time. What does that mean? It's a huge amount of buyers that enter the market and are buying at the same time. Do we have enough homes? We're going to answer that in just a minute. Number 3, net migration. Net migration is an interesting factor. We're going to bring it more home when we talk about net migration. There's 2 studies that we looked at when we considered net migration into this area. One was U-Haul, and the other one was United Moving and Storage Study. Both of those track people who are moving one way in and out of different states. U-Haul is going to be your do-it-yourself buyers and sellers. They are in a more affordable housing price, where United usually services upper price range buyers and sellers, as well as corporate relocations, because they tend to be a little bit more expensive. The exciting news for our area is that both studies show South Carolina in the top 5 states that people move in, and also show that net migration, which is more people moving in than moving out of South Carolina. So what does that mean for you? That means that more people come in here and finding housing than moving out. Therefore, the shortage of home becomes a real problem. And some of you have experienced that in the last year or 2. Let's bring it closer to home. The National Association of Realtors has published a study where they announced top markets to watch for 2023 and beyond. Upstate South Carolina, specifically Greenville, Malden, and Anderson area, were number 5 spot across the country for upcoming growth, construction, migration, and many other economic factors. That's exciting news for all of us who live here. So buyer demand is looking pretty good. Now let's take a look at the seller side. Our normal average per year new build homes usually average about 1.2 million in units. Because of recession of 2008, many builders and monetary policies have made it restrictions and created a very difficult market for builders to build. So in the last 10, 12 years, we have been very short on units on a yearly basis. At this point, the estimate of how many units we did not build lies somewhere between 5 and 7 million. What does that mean? That means the buyers that are coming in the market, the buyers that are moving here, have a very hard time finding new properties to buy. And if you're familiar with the upstate area, our rental market is even more difficult. So when you can't buy and you try to rent and there's nothing to rent, it becomes a very challenging market on the buyer side. So is it a seller's market? Absolutely. Let's look at days on the market. Our days on the market for a home have increased to 2.9 months in December this past year, compared to 1.9 in December a year before. While the days have increased, the average time on the market to be considered a balanced market should be about 6 months. So at 2.9 months, we're definitely in the seller's market. So what does that mean for you? On the seller's side, while slight variation in price may be happening on a monthly basis, overall demand should remain strong. The prices have been at all-time high. Next year's prediction from most economists are not showing a decrease in value. On the buyer side, you have an opportunity to take your time to shop. When I say opportunity, it's not what we used to have 3 years ago, but you don't have to make a decision overnight because the house will be gone with 15 offers the following day. So a little bit of a slowdown has been a welcome aspect for a lot of realtors and buyers. So if you are a buyer or a seller, give us a call and we'll be glad to help you navigate this real estate market. If you are an out-of-town listener who's wondering why upstate South Carolina is a great place to come to and visit and move, we're here to answer that question. My name is Ayla Chevalier, and until next time, thank you.